UP students, third year UP, first year UP students, I believe that this lecture will be very super useful for you, especially because it's related to your professions directly in the future. Okay, and so let me introduce you to the speaker very quickly and the overall of the lecture. I actually have attended this lecture already in Japan, and it was so useful, so I thought that it would be what a waste if he couldn't give the lecture to you guys. Okay? When you talk about urban planning, you understand a normal policymaker systems of trying to make a city work, right? But what Professor Kanegae wants to propose, or he's actually predicting, is that the urban planner as a profession is extinct. It's already at the age of the extinction. Okay? So being a planner or being an urban designer, you need to actually change the way you think and change the way you operate your professions. Okay? So this lecture is totally about this and the predictions of how the city will fail or how we're going to actually find a way to make it alive or sustainable. Okay? Throughout the new system of planning or the new way of urban planning. Okay? So let me introduce you to Professor Hidehiko Kanegae. He's from Policy Science, Richmond University. Okay? Please. Okay.
From now on, okay. Today, maybe I think it's the first time listening with planning theory and the new type of the planning shift. Paradigm shift around the world. Maybe you will get a very hard shock after studying of this. But anyhow, please enjoy your, how can I say, core competence of the planning itself. And also you are lucky because in near future, most of all the jobs will be disappear. But whenever you learn about the future planning, it can make new type of the jobs. And not only for the jobs. And maybe I think you will face how to use your life meaningfully in a lifelong learning ways to create the futures. That is a way of true meaning of planning. Okay, I will be seated. But before, I'd like to introduce by myself. I know, sorry, too much of the water, so I cannot drink too much. I was graduated after getting my PhD. I worked at the United Nations Center for Regional Development, and at the same time I taught in Kyushu University and coming back to Tokyo Institute of Technology. And at the end of Tokyo Institute of Technology, I taught in AIT, the neighborhood of Tanzania. And after that, so I started for the teaching in Richmond University. And also, it's better to recognize what kind of academic societies I belong to. Of course, the first one is a Japanese academy. That is not so important, the government. And also the member of many council or board member. And also the important thing is I would like to say to you is related. I was former president of ISAGA, International Association of Gaming Society, and also the international Japanese branch representative of International Society of City and Regional Planners Association. Also, Japan section or something of the regional science, also the main real estate academy society. So, like you in the future, I study not architecture, not civil engineering. I just study in the planning school. And also now I'm teaching in policy science. In Japan, around 80 universities have recently sort of the policy schools teaching in new type of the planning ways. That means to the public management and also the teaching community planning ways, so on. Okay, I'd like to be seated. Before, I'd like to explain you. This is a sort of the planning. So this is a famous model. Maybe once you watched. The typical model of our theories. And in the center, central business district. And surrounding, those are, how can I say, developed area. That means that usually we are saying downtown. And the surrounding downtown, there is suburban. The English name is suburban. The meaning is to say suburban. Those places are, how can I say, exploring, developing as a developing area. Usually, this kind of the extension is urban sprawl. You know, okay, it's great. The basis of urban theories are learned. That is correct. Okay, according to the modern urban planning ways, many types of the planning would like to intend to simplify monoland use space. But at the same time, connecting monoland use by machine traffic. And also satellite cities and bed towns are located in the suburban area. And many people are commuting from suburban area to work or study in downtown. That is the meaning of this one previously explained about the structure. Many satellite bed towns. Here is also the bed town of Bangkok. Okay? And the satellite city also in suburban areas consume mass consumption. That is our society. You know, big, small. Garden cities of tomorrow. Have you ever heard? Yeah, teacher, of course, I know. But so the student? Huh? No? This is a big starting point of this kind of structures located, living in the suburban area and connecting massive traffic. But at Ebenezer Howard proposed, basically, in isolated, that means the suburban area cities would like to be independently living and working together. But unfortunately, according to the progress of the industrial revolutions and middle class of bourgeois agreed to promote, to invest the Ebenezer Howard style of satellite and town development. That is a big driving force. Many of the developed countries advise this type of the connection, suburban and central business district by way of fossil fuel energy consumptions like motorization or connecting by the locomotion or some other trains. Now in Bangkok are facing to shift from the motorization to train systems. And the connection in between the multi-core of suburban area and the downtown. But please remember, this kind of the Ebenezer Howard town development, satellite city development, started just not so far, not so old, just 150 years ago, 130 years ago. Okay, please come inside. Many other students are coming. Okay? So, at the same time, at the beginning, I'd like to explain you about the brief structure of the paradigm shift of planning. Nowadays, you are living in Bangkok metropolitan area. Most of all, how can I say, the developing countries has already started for the construction of megacities by autonomously. This type of the megacity growth was started after the modernization, the mean to the industrial revolution makes the megacities. And also, don't forget, you are learning urban planning, city planning, but originally, the city planning is just a tool for economic development without environmental issue, without toxicological issue, without disaster resilience, and so on. Originally, the city planning arose for economy. And urban sprawl started, which makes great expansion. At the same time, many of the migration from rural area or some other places attract to the city center, which makes a big city and the mega cities. Okay. At the same time, new migrants coming into the city area, which makes isolation of the newcomers, which migrants from other rural area or sometimes other places. Nowadays in EU and also the United States are facing this kind of the, how can I say, newcomers, migrants makes a conflict. Sometimes those kind of the situation makes the isolation, which will be a trigger of the terrorism and so on. But at the same time, town planning and city planning would like to make a community development, likewise neighborhood planning ways. Of course, in the United States style of the neighborhood planning will be a melting pot. At the same time, the Canadian style is a sort of the mosaic ways. But the approach is different, but this kind of the neighborhood community integration is important for the expansion phase. And also, the to improve the migration from rural to big city to megacities. Because why the city requires such a huge amount of the populations? That is a simple reason. City needs factory workers as laborers, which makes public health problems and the pollution. Of course, the highway density makes sort of the disaster, some other thing, vulnerabilities, rise. That is a big problem according to the expansions of the big cities. And in such a time, the Roma Club report said the limits of the growth. At the beginning, I said city planning was a tool of economic development. Of course, still, city planning intends a sort of the economic development, mainly. Otherwise, we don't have to make a plan for the infrastructures. When the shortage of the road capacities will be achieved to the limitations, maximum number of the cars makes the heavy traffic jam. Yeah, before in Bangkok, it was more smoothly driving, but recently heavy traffic coming again. But after the construction of the connection of the railway systems, which makes reduce of the traffic jam activity. And at the same time, the limit of the growth noticed the sort of the limitation of the economic growth, which leads to the balance in between the environmental issue and the economic development, which will be achieved to a new concept of sustainable development. At the Earth Summit in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro, then it's a turning point for the social learning ways, and also at the same time starting year for the renewable energy in the city. And also, in near future, maybe I will leave. But I'm not quite sure. But this is very important for you. You are facing technological singularity. Later I will explain it. But anyhow, please remember, 2045 is most drastic year. All of us are needed to rethink about the meaning of the singularity years. And also at the same time, network automation and the AR society also coming, and the multilarity revolution, and later coming, I will explain you, the gaming society coming in the near future. Of course, this lecture is running utopia, dystopia. I'm not quite sure which will be coming. In the past, the radiant city, like we expected too much of the utopia in the city planning. But to make this time, in that time, the building is not so high. Recently, our skyscraper technologies, architecture of course, engineering, makes more high density of the cities, which attracts much more people to live in city centers and to explore a huge amount of the energies to consume in the downtown, not only downtown, and also in the suburban area. This figure, a bit, I'd like to move to the In 20th century, this is a number, frequency of the natural disaster occur. And coming from Japan, fortunately, at that time, of course, in Japan, there are so many big tragedy, rare case. But for our human beings, it's a good time, less number of the tragedies that mean to the natural disasters. But according to at the end of 20th century and now in the 21st century, it's in time for natural disaster time. I cannot say correctly to you, but the probability of the survivability becomes low. Then, in some cases, if you don't prepare this kind of natural disasters, both of the individually and in the planning ways, your probability for survivability will be declining. Please remember, you are so hard time. I live here, not so difficult, but if you, how can I say, have a family, your family will face this kind of the high risk of natural disaster. In this sense, the planning must be shifted according to this kind of the 21st century's hard time risk. Okay. After recognition of the tendency of the number of the risk natural disaster, the planning paradigm intended economic growth initially. At that time, it's very shortage of the infrastructures, which needs to the hardware planners, infrastructure and the elementary structures. Infrastructure, you know, the road, bridge, railways, dam, port, of course airport, power plant, water distribution systems, sewage water, incinerator for the garbage. Many types of the infrastructures are needed because it was too shortage for driving to the economy. At the same time, it was very shortage time for the elemental structure. Elemental structure is the opposite side of the infrastructures. Houses, factories, okay? Those kind of elemental structures are needed. In this sense, the civil engineer, architectures, and the geologists also could work for the hardware planning time. But after the expansion of the economic growth makes the toxicological pollutions, air pollutions, water pollutions. In Japanese case, Minamata or Yokkaichi or Samada, hard time according to the pollutions, which are involved into the regulations and in the city planning and urban planning. In that time, the software and the environmental preservation planners are needed. At the same time, planning schools started for teaching for the amenity and the quality of life issues, which intended not only for the hardware planning, but the software planning and the environmental planning. And now, in time, disaster era, so many of the planning schools, of course, in the United States of the planning school are shifted. The original name is planning school, but nowadays public affairs or public management school. Of course, they are teaching, but they cover the disaster prevention. which means to the covering of the preparedness, disaster mitigations, adaptations issues, so on. Of course, we cannot prevent everything of the natural disasters, especially for the highway vulnerabilities in high density of the megacities couldn't be prevented. Then we change according to the disaster cycle to not only for the prevention, to make for the after the recovering period, and some survivors makes the city construction again. That means to the risk management or recovery process must be included. This type of the disaster planning also started for teaching, and also nowadays many of the cities, especially in Japan cities, are starting for makes a new planning with resilience, city resilient planning also makes we make, and which makes also the name is sustainable city with under the shared economy and the fintech and the smart city and the resilient city, some other thing. Now is in time for shifting drastically. Hi. So please, be seated. Okay. You never heard, you know, Dyson sphere. Someone who knows Dyson. Physics. Okay, Freeman Dyson proposed his papers, search for artificial stellar source of infrared radiation. Then they classified, Ardalchev also mentioned about the level of the Dyson spheres. This is very important. The type 1 is too much. I cannot count the joule of that one. But harness all Earth energy. But unfortunately, we didn't achieve yet. But some of the scholars forecasted in 1 century or 2 centuries, we will be achieved. Type 1. Planetary system energy would be used. Our Earth and maybe the moon energy will be used. And the type 2, stellar systems. Our sun and Mars and everything could be used, the energy. And the type 3 is our galaxies. Energy would be used. Oh, I'm not quite sure we can achieve this type of the highly efficient energy. But so type 2 is a Dyson sphere itself. That means this is how can I say, the alien seeking process. The hypothetically, if some, how can I say, aliens are living in the other planet, which has more advanced technologies and science, if the entity use all of the energies, likewise our planet of Earth. No energy leaking. That means to the all of the energies becomes dark. It's not a black hole. Just artificially use everything of the energies. Honestly to say, our Earth are leaking many radiation, radio, some other things are leaking to the external of our Earth. Then if some aliens would like to think us, easy to catch. Okay, coming. And type 4 is harnessing all universe. That is a civilization definition. But more upper level will be whole space. That means to the equal of all energy in the space. That means to the whole universe, multiverse. Multiverse means to the our universe is not only one. We are parallel world. The other spaces could be used, and at the same time we can control for time travel. We can go back to the past. That is a multi-universe. Multiverse. But now, we are now, until now, if you would like to think about environmental planning and the sustainable development planning, unfortunately, we are now in type 0. Type 0 is not yet achieved type 1. I'm so sorry, so we are, how can I say, insufficient for the, how can I say, technologies. But maybe we think next 22nd century, 23rd century, we will be achieved for the type 1. Whenever you'd like to think about planning, it might be better to know about this kind of the physics or stellar science, so on. And also going back, nowadays we are shifting to resilient planning era, but we have to think about high safetyness first, and secondly, high performance. The planning has started economic growth intention first, but nowadays changing of the orders. The prioritized way is a bit reverse. And at the same time, the resilience are needed under the multi-hazard time. The robustness, redundancy, resourcefulness, sometimes we're saying resourcefulness, and the rapidity. Speed is very important. Please remind in your brain for thinking about resilient city planning ways under the community planning time. These kind of things are important. Why community planning? The democracy itself is a basis. But for thinking about the assessment of the risk, all of you have a different sense of and a different, how can I say, the thinking of the assessment for the risk. If you'd like to talk with your friend, maybe I think every day your friend doesn't have what you thought of the risk. To explore all of the people could be thought as sort of the many multi-risk, multi-hazard in the planning. People could be prepared. That is a prevention for risk mitigation ways. And also, we are talking about the modern way of planning, not the Middle Age or not the ancient time of the planning, the modern type of. The mode of usually we are using two types of the modern planning and the modern planning rationalities. And the first one is prescriptivism. That means to the later coming to you. Anyhow, the future situation would be stated in advance. Target, goal, which would be shared in the citizens or communities. But sometimes this kind of the prescriptivism could be converted in the normativism, should be, or prescriptivism, which is so called passive instrumental rationality in planning. And also, the second one is model postmodern planning ways, discursive communicative rationalities. This one is public sphere by Habermas said. Anyhow, this one is fitting by the civil engineer, architecture, some other professionals. The professionals describe drawing, plan, and some other thing. The second one is multi-level of citizens, communities participate through the process of dialogue, discussion, to make a plan. That means to the community planning ways. Another to say the same one. And the first one is a blueprint style. Do you know blueprint? No? Nowadays, there are many, how can I say, plotters are coming. But traditionally, in 15 years ago, 30 years ago, all of the professional places are using drawing by the blueprint, the chemical printing ways. Not using a plotter, not using Xerox ways. That is a blueprint style. It's the same as passive instrumental rationality, which is fitting to the hard systems approach. Also, the comprehensive planning way, or master planning, or structure planning ways fit perfect. Professional planners, or professional and experts for each specialties are drawing to set. But the second one is dialogue style. Discussive communicative rationality is fitting to the soft systems approach, participatory ways, and the technology, participatory technology assessment or some other thing. And also nowadays, strategic environmental assessment, SEA, is designed for the dialogue style. This strategic environmental assessment is a different approach for the environmental impact assessment. Okay, I will read. Usually, EIA, environmental impact assessment, evaluated after a plan, draft plan as shown. But strategic environmental assessment could be replaceable, the alternative plans, whatever, how to achieve the goals and targets. Then if there are no such a kind of the plan, likewise, dam construction, airport construction, but we can do it according to the assessment. So according to the prescriptivism, this is Rosetta Stone. When we visit to the Great Britain, description itself couldn't be changed. But if you become a good planner, people are saying different things like the president of Donald Trump. Every time changing, but description couldn't be changed. Okay? This is very important for the prescriptivism in the planning. Anyhow, to achievement or a consensus could be stated as a description. The media and the description way is not important. Sometimes drawing, sometimes signatures, sometimes manuscript, so on. But the Rosetta Stone couldn't be changed. But written in hieroglyph, demotic, Greek, at the same time, then we can now recognize the fabric. Sorry, this is Japanese. And related with the planning. Planning is a sort of prediction behavior. How to focus in the future. If you observe T1 to Tk like that, and the plotting, after that, easy to simple projection in the future. Is it rational? Yeah, of course, rational ways. You are studying about mathematics and statistics. Multi-regression and the regression is the same way to make drawing a line, linear line. That is usually, of course, in the government. Many of the government, especially in environmental planning, transportation planning, are used this kind of the simple projections. Of course, some of the financial planning and infrastructure planning, they used many of this kind of the simple projection ways. But this is too simple. Usually, we are putting into the more optimistic, most optimistic and most pessimistic lines, like that. Then to draw multi-lines, the upper side is likewise optimistic, and lower case is a pessimistic feature. Then planner or civil servant and bureaucratic systems draw in between the range of this kind of multiple variations. Okay? So, by the way, you already learned about different type of the planning approach for the backcasting ways. Whenever we observe the same as T1 to Tk, likewise a left figure graph. But if we don't have no policy or we don't change the current policies, that is the same as business as usual in the future, it comes too sad or too drastically, how can I say, makes a big impact to us. In the case, we would like to change our future to better ways, or better situations. Then we draw to the multiple scenarios to achieve, to control our future better. That is a way of the backcasting. Not only for fitting to the forecasting, changing and controlling to our futures better situations. That is the same as the target controlling the scenario changing ways of the backcasting ways. UNFCCC and the global warming issues are, how can I say, planned according to this type of backcasting planning methodology. Okay? So, and of course, there are many variations on the diversity of the planning, but today I'd like to skip it. Maybe the talented teachers and the professors will teach you the variation of the planning. Maybe you are trained like transactive planning or advocacy planning ways or scenario planning, so on. But there are many multi-variation like that. And also, these kind of the issues, like NIMBY or some other thing, and strategic environmental assessment or public opinion gathering ways, also you have a chance to learn in the class. Then I will skip it. But I would like to say to you, whenever you want to learn about planning, there are two types of the planning. Of course, planning science itself contains much amount of the, how can I say, broader sense of the policies and the politics. Likewise, decision making and some other scientific ways for the system science, informatics, information science are needed. But planning technology, there are two types. Don't confuse it. These one. There are two types. First one is a technology for planning. Okay? This one, today I'd like to talk about related, the first one, technologies for planning, so on. But at the same time, don't forget, technology of planning itself are needed. In near future, someone you are working as a planner, please be mind to develop this kind of the technology of planning itself are needed in our technological singularity occur time. Okay? When you lose your job, or when you cannot get the job in the planning, but you can make your own planner's job by yourself according to development of the technology of planning. Okay? So at the same time, from the changing of the planning styles, I mentioned you the hardware planner education time was after the World War II. Yeah, this is a Japanese case. Architecture and civil engineering educated planning. Maybe. And the second one is software planner education time, the end of 20th century. I also graduated this time of the interdisciplinary field of studies of the planner educations. And third one is civil society planner time. You are now in time. Then in Japan also the policy school arrived. Teaching for the new community planning ways, involving together multi-stakeholders with social learning process together. Okay. And the second one is also the more detailed. The same. You are coming to the community planners, but at the same time, e-democracy or e-government are rising. Of course, dialogue mode will be needed for face-to-face communications in community planning, but at the same time, utilizing all the internet and some other network tools and supported by the artificial intelligence, robotics in near future, you have many chances to develop for the new type of e-planning ways. Technology of planning will be realized soon. Here's John Friedman, the famous John Friedman. I was in discussion in the planning theory textbook he wrote. If you'd like to read or already you read, but he explained us sort of the core competence of the planning and the planning theories are based on democracy. The current, he said, the current new tendency of the new types of the mature democracy being to the civil society rise again after the 1980s, which is the roots of your new type of the planning base, community planning base. First one is a federalism, Alexander Tocqueville's way, and second one is I told, public sphere by the Union urban mass model. And the third one is hegemony model by the Antonio Gramsci. And the fourth one is Manuel Castello's grassroots urban social movement, which these kind of streams are connected in e-community planning ways. Okay? Of course, some of other activities are right, but the recent community plannings are originally coming from these roots. Okay. Planning shift, the planning paradigm shift started. I mentioned to you the urbanization and the urban sprawl period after the World War II. Traditional civil engineering ways. Of course, you are learned, for instance, 4 steps for the transportation planning or some other planning ways. And the second one is stable urban dwelling way and edge cities. Till end of 20th century, demands for living environment, amenity, landscape, scenario environment, or some other things. It is needed for software planning ways. Please remember it, that this is the second important thing. Anyhow, modern planning, you are learning, modern planning are starting after the industrial revolutions. And also, city planning needed to the comprehensive planning, master planning, spatial planning, and the economic and industrial development planning, physical planning, housing planning, and the district plan or neighborhood or education, welfare, covering everything as urban development planning together. And also, nowadays, world are stated, already including for the pollution control, environmental issues, quality of life, amenities, landscape, countermeasures for the climate change and the disaster prevention. Okay? You don't have to be worried about only for the intention of the economic development in planning. But the hidden thing is our ultimate meaning for the city planning and the planning are required for avoiding discontinuity of your society. Jane Jacobs wrote final booklet. To avoid for the discontinuity is needed for these kind of 5 issues are important. Of course, here we have a good community planner. I believe you can keep this kind of 5 pillars of this important society issues for. Fortunately, I think near of your family or near of your you, you can find many of the continuous organizations. Now, of course, in Japan, there are so many continuous. The most oldest one of the Kongo Gumi construction companies established in AD 578, still working. And which construction companies are maintained of Japanese World Heritage temples or shrines. At the same time, many of the companies are succeeded to keep multi-level of activities in your society will make you fruitful. That is how can I say it? That is an important goal of your community planning. If you'd like to read those kind of things, please read. Many of the things are fragmented but written in the planning theory text. Of course, John Friedman's and Jane Jacobs' opinions in the planning theory text. Okay, changing of the mode of the planning. Okay, I will change the mode of the planning, mode of the lecture. Alvin Toffler, maybe you know Alvin Toffler, the famous scholars. The first wave are coming from the agricultural revolution. Okay, so the first wave are shifted according to the accurate clocks, duplication ways of the information, the printing, Gutenberg, and the iron and steel, which makes the second wave. That is the industrial revolution. What I told you today, the modern planning ways are arising after the industrial revolutions. Industrial age, mass fossil energy and mass consumption, mass production phenomena after the 18th century. Maybe you know. Until World War II. The World War II already shifted then the transition mode of the second wave, which is the third post-industrial society that means the information age arrived. Another to say that is systems error. To keep megacities are quite so difficult in the history. Ancient Greek also just 10,000 people could be lived in the city. And Rome and Carthago, some other places, how can I say, have 1 to 2 billion populations. But at that time, more than 2 times, 4 times of the population of the slaves are needed to manage for the cities. And the Roman Empire, 1 million population is usually maximum to contain to the slave hunting from the other places. Then in Middle Age, in European cities, just 100,000 populations enough to live in the city. At the 18th century, before the Industrial Revolution, only Tokyo, Edo, was 1 million people. Edo was a sort of the ultimate eco-city. So, okay, good. And London, after the starting of the Industrial Revolution in 19th century, 1 million achieved, London new, changing into 1 million city, and Paris, 2 billion populations, and now in Tokyo, 12 million cities. Bangkok, I forgot to write this one. Yeah, but the city itself keeps this kind of the real carnival. Akihabara, this is a cosplayer, this is a traditional film festival or something like in Japan. The city would like to keep their own culture and the traditions in the multi-level of successions. Of course, after the Industrial Revolutions, new types of the attraction of the many people are coming into the cities to make a mega city. But at the same time, to keep this kind of thing. Before some of the parts already heard this one. Now you should, of course, you have to know about it. So in the city has a dual spiral process of the revolutions. One is the Charles Darwin process, evolution theory, not revolution, evolution theory. And the city and the culture changing slowly through the genome successions. Likewise, the city itself. But at the same time, Lamarck's process, theory of evolutions, sort of inheritance of acquired characteristic would be succeed, like a museum, library, cities, heritage site. Those kind of things are succeeding in the city. This is very important. Without using for the Charles Darwin's evolutions, genome can succeed, could be achieved after think of the new planning and city situations. Now, we are facing for the many types of the division and the integration, or localism and the globalism, top-down and the bottom-up process. this is a typical situation, urban, rural, which is the definition of the urban. The traditional meaning of the city or urban area is, this is Carcassonne. There is a wall to protect from the enemies, at the same time to divide in the rural area and the cities. City means a sort of having walls, this kind of walls. This is the most basic definition. And at the same time, inside of the wall, it has freedom. Okay? Freedom is the meaning of a city. The citizen defined could be having a right to the freedom. This is a sort of, sorry, this is Japanese. It's a Hansa on the guild for the Lübeck and some other cities in the northern part of Germany. The city has a freedom which keeps the sort of the freedom for working or choosing labor styles, which makes the new style for the stakeholders, for the industries and the commerce. Max Weber also said, okay, if we would like to know about the paradigm shift of the planning, the first one is modern planning science has started. This one, machine era. This is also the big difference of the predeterminism. And after World War II, the systems era, scalability time, and the network time, network era already started, digital age and complexity. And also that we are facing in shifting to the industrial 4 and the AI and the IoT together. Okay. Predeterminism is a bit different of prescriptivism, but at the starting time of the machine era, the reductionism, disassembly to the minimum parts, could be defined. And the analytic thinking ways and the mechanism, causal reduction way, are important. How to make a machine or how to construct a machine, which is the main paradigm for the machine era. Of course, in the planning, machine attitude of this predeterminism effective. That is fitting for the, especially for the hardware infrastructure planning ways. And during the World War II, the systems era started. Systems era is the expansionism. Expansion, like this. My computer could be connected, my output could be connected to the projector to watch, and your smartphone could be connected. Before, when I was born at that time, telephone means the communication, verbal communication ways for the tele-isolated place with line. Okay? Nowadays, no line, radio waves. And nowadays, 4G, of course, 3G also can do it, but 4G, LTE, LED, also you can use your smartphone, whether not only for the voice, movie, picture, anything, expansion to connect to the other things, expansionism. and constitutive thinking way also, and teleology, objective methodologies, which means to the goal and the vision setting, EC change to the EU, and Brexit now, but don't talk about it. The systems era is anyhow to set goal and vision in the future. This is a paradigm in our living time. Setting goal and vision. This is a paradigm of our planning right now. Of course, Massing era time, the three mandates also important, but these are determinism and the system thinking combined together with us. At the same time, so the basic of the systems, definition of system. System has an input and output. Okay? Input and output is an important thing for the systems. Could be extended connection to the other things. And also, if we could define the system, what function is, what structure is, what form could be stated as a system. This is a sort of knowledge. But now, in the 21st century, predeterminism, Massing era, approach paradigm, systems thinking, systems era paradigm, and the network, big data. Network era is the same as digital age, and the complexity, artificial intelligence together. How will it to be in the future? Very complicated. Our digital age just started. Years ago. Okay? Before, there are so many, in my house, I have LP records or something to another page. Yeah? No? And video cassette, VHS, something. Not high resolution, but anyhow. These kind of cassette tape, book. Still, you have. Yeah, of course. But now I'm reading the Kindle or some other thing. To changing for the drastically the beginning of the digital age story. 5 years ago, I collected all of the floppy disk of what I wrote in master thesis, PhD thesis, which could be stored in CD-ROM. My life is just inside of the CD-ROM. But maybe I think you use much amount of the pictures, movies. Maybe you need a hard disk drive, terabyte or something more. But anyhow, the explosion of the digital age started. And the network era will be achieved before 2045, technological singularity. Technological singularity means to the total amount of the digital storage of the knowledge will be override our human beings. Rather to say that this is the same meaning. In the library, all of the libraries have the knowledge in booklet in the libraries, gathering of those kind of the knowledge, whole lump sum of the whole knowledge, wouldn't to be less than the storage of the digital data. It's not a wisdom. Just the total amount of the volume of the knowledge will be explosion rather than less. Of course, artificial intelligence, gathering likewise a robot, we are saying a bot in the internet to seek, gathering many data to generate, make a summary, make many types of the activities instead of the journalist like that. But the total number of the knowledge in cyberspace will be achieved rather than our analog knowledge. And also nowadays we couldn't find many of the mechanisms or findings yet. If you'd like to get a PhD degree, I strongly recommend you as soon as possible to write your PhD dissertation. After the achieving of the technological singularities, AI said, those kind of the mechanisms already analyzed, finished, and stored. Refer this article. You are lucky. Of course I'm lucky, but you might be better to change your attitude. And also, at the same time, emergence of superintelligence and need facing for the pluralism and the complexity and big data or multi-network together. This is the total amount of the paradigm shifts occurred to the monkey, to the human beings, and the next artificial intelligence in the cyberspace. Of course, on the other side of the Charles Darwin's Darwinism said, many types of the revolutions are starting to the explosion of our brain started. But after that, what coming to the digital time? Explosion, the technological singularities, biochemistry, biology, culture, technology, and next, what I told the Dyson spheres. Nowadays, so the new type of the paradigm, please, if you are interested in it, please read it, the evolution of everything. All of the phenomena of our biological evolutions. And after the meaning of the mean of the gene, the succession, what Lamarckism said, to succeed in knowledge, cultures, many things could be succeeded by the artificial intelligence. That is the subject of the movie of the, I forgot the name of Matrix. Matt Ridley wrote the evolution of everything. Before talking about biological, our biosystems, our universe itself is a sort of the evolution system. I'm not quite sure. I don't believe the sort of the God, because I'm a Buddhist. I would like to keep a sort of the mindfulness for the peacetime. So our universe, multiverse also is a sort of the phenomena of the evolution. It's the same as the complexity and artificial intelligence. And at the same time, Kevin Carey wrote the inevitable book, it coming to the new 12 phenomena will be changed, makes a huge impact to our paradigm in near future. Please read it. Because that this is Star Wars, episode 1. Maybe, episode 1 is the starting of the galaxy. Republicans keeps the peaceful time, but a sort of guild. In the story fiction that they made, the battle droid, super battle droid, to bottom. Machine and machine battle in the peripheral zone of the cosmos space. Then some sort of the witness who will become a dictator wish to make the clone armies. That is the meaning of the starting of Star Wars. This is also high power. Artificial intelligence machine. Yeah, a robot itself is with actuator. The controlling of some of the, I'm not quite sure here is a brain or not, artificial intelligence put into in many places. Cognitively enhanced biological intelligence also could be work instead of the slave and labors. We cannot avoid this tendency. In the long, long history, I told you to keep mega cities, Roman Empire needs slaves. Instead, after the Industrial Revolution, we need laborers. But after that, what coming? This one is what I told you to the Alvin Toffler's wave, third wave. And after the third wave, what does it come? Recently, now is a machine era, a traditional type. There is a fossil fuel charging and moving machines. First step, water power or steam power used. And second, mass production, what I told you. And computer and automation. In Japan already started many of the companies, automatic factories. And Tesla, Honda company, now constructed 100% of automation factories in Europe. And fourth one, cyber physical systems. Nobody work as a labor, but Industry 4.0 will be coming in near future. And also, all of the stuff and goods are produced by the machine. At the same time, delivery, or we don't have to drive a car, automatic driving in near future. This is coming to the rapid mobility or Internet of the things, Internet of everything are coming. That means to the connection to the all of the things. After 10 years, maybe your table and your shoes, maybe some of the shoes will have the sensors and the connection to the Internet. Nike already provided. At the same time like this, all of the cities, everything has a functioning for sensors, monitoring everything, which can easy to maintain all the public infrastructures. Can you believe? For instance, Paris, London, those kind of after the starting of the Industrial Revolution cities are facing the how can I say, the time for the replacement for the infrastructures. But, for instance, bridge, road, and under the sewage water drainage systems has a sensor to check all the degradation, which could be easy to planning way to maintain. Most of all the infrastructures are now, when it comes broken or how can I say, couldn't be work well, then replacement started. But Internet of everything could be connected to check when the water leaking, when would be high probability for leaking the water in 10 months or something, or suitable for planning. This is the city. Those kind of the Internet of things, Internet of everything, makes our city more smart and highly resilient. Honestly to say, Japanese building couldn't achieve for the efficient of the energy that what I told Dyson spheres. Not highly efficient, but instead highly disaster prevention building there. Nowadays, many sensors in, for instance, the surrounding of Japan countries, we put many sensors in, how can I say, the bottom of the sea. Then it measured the starting of the land shaking, the signal coming, and some of the building started for the opposite side of the controlling of the shaking. Those kind of things could be in near future in every places. And important, you are interested in half of job will disappear. But don't worry. The current job, like a banker, clerk, teacher, those kind of the jobs, there are no such a kind of job before the Industrial Revolution. Don't worry, just 150 years. Also, yeah, of course, postal service or cashiers, librarians, travel agent will be disappeared. But this one, college teacher, will be disappeared. Now is mass education in higher education, in the university and higher education. But some of the United States university already started using Watson, IBM Watson. Then some student asked to the question or getting suggestion or guidance. The answer is very correct and detailed like tailor-made style. But those supporting systems are provided by artificial intelligence, which the students' evaluation score is higher than the best teacher. Maybe we are disappeared. So, but when the job disappears, how to get your food? That is very important to recognize the phenomena. This is James McDonald wrote, "Reality is broken." In the past, of course, from the ancient Greek time, many times our human beings face a sort of the tragedies, which could be succeeding our, how can I say, the children. But at that time, people are trying to play, to divide the two groups of the nations. One group are eating, another group are playing the game. In tradition, old ancient time of the governance ways. And nowadays, so fintech, financial technology will be disappeared of the many bankers. Will be finished of the jungle bankers. Blockchain, bank itself will be disappeared. Shared economy, automatic cars, automobile by the artificial intelligence. We don't have to have a car in any time to ride, to share. And also the shared economy like Uber, Airbnb, some other new economy arrive. And at the same time, gamification, you know. Are you a frequent flyers program? No, TG? No? Frequent flyers. No. And the point card systems? No? And also the governance itself of the, how can I say, the public organization and the private companies already started for the gamification way for the management. The personnel itself becomes gamifications. And gaming governance also started. Policy making game also started. These kind of the policy making game, many of the SNS players in the cyberspace, they play, which will be feedback to the real. Of course, using VR also. But what I would like to say is, in near future, in some cases, we are losing a job, and we cannot do anything. But at the same time, if we can manage to a game, to play, that is our human beings. Artificial intelligence couldn't be satisfied in the virtual game. They need reality. But I'm not quite sure what reality is in the cyberspace. The borderline of cyber and the reality is quite so difficult to judge. Please read it. It's very important. But for us, coming back to the planning, after 20 years, after 40 years, the city, the landscape, and the surface of the city itself is the same as, not drastically changing. Yeah, of course, after 100 years, maybe I think car flows three-dimensionally. But in 10 years, 20 years, no need. Car has wheels touching onto the ground. Of course, elevated highway, of course, you are going to the elevated base road, but touching to the, we cannot avoid for the gravity right now. And also, please keep your community and the participatory way united together with the new migrants, newcomers, which makes the mature new type of the community planning ways. Of course, AI and the robotics will support us. I'm not a singularist it's not necessary to over expectation for the optimistic way for the singularity. But to avoid the risk sense, we can keep safety nets according to the utilization of much amount of the AI and the big data and the complexities will support to make more higher probabilities of our survivabilities, which is needed for your risk mitigations. In community planning era, all of us are needed for the planning, intelligence, and the planning itself are needed to facing to make a harmonization with the progress of the advanced society. Okay? The reference, okay? Thank you.
Too hard.
What will remain after this, AI era? Said that community relationships and network will still remain, and with gamification, this is something that robot not replace that challenge. Would it have any relation to any kind of